want to kind of go, sorry. We just kind of want to go over what this resolution specifically wanted to accomplish and why that specifically was an issue that you wanted to make this bill about.
Yeah, so the first thing with the resolution is the resolution we passed did not say the undergraduate senate wants American University to have a football team. The resolution we passed said that we want to start an exploratory committee. And what this exploratory committee would do essentially is it would be a cost benefit analysis. It would do research, figure out why we didn't have a team, why we didn't, why there's not one now, what we could do to get one, where one could play, what the money would have to look like for one to happen. But also, it's cost benefit analysis. They could also come out and say that, we can't have a football team. It's not suitable. It's not feasible for the student body right now. And I think that this is important because, right now there's no team, but no one knows why there's no team. We have basketball, we have soccer, we have a ton of teams, there are club teams for baseball, club teams for hockey, club teams for lacrosse, but there's just no football, anything on campus. So I think that this is really just about making the administration at least tell us why it is the way it is.
Thank you so much for that answer. And I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more insight into why we don't have a football team at the moment.
Well, we actually did have a football team at one point. We had a program that lasted from the 1920s up until 1942, I believe. And that's when America entered into World War II. And I think the thought process then was, we'll get rid of football because, a lot of the men were off fighting a war. And that was also before football was what it is now. Back then, baseball was the most popular sport in the country. So it wasn't like they were canceling a sports program that was probably bringing in a ton of money, because football is, they look at the numbers, most colleges that have a football team, football is the sports program that brings in the most amount of money, but they never added a team back. I think that there's, I don't actually know the specific reason. Mute, Eben, mute yourself. I'm sorry, he's my friend. But I think that we just gotta know why, because I don't know why they didn't tell us why. They just said, we don't have a team, we don't plan on having a team. And, I'm going to introduce, I'll talk about this more later when you go to how people can get involved. But yeah, that's what I'd say now. We had a program and then it got canceled and it was never brought back.
All right, thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. And then we kind of wanted to go into what made you specifically want to pursue this resolution? What made you want to do it?
When I was in high school, I played football, and football was probably one of the most positive influences on me when I was in high school. Every day, you were accounted for from the end of school till 6 o'clock. It kept you away from doing bad stuff. It encourages you to work out. You have GPA requirements. It encourages you to do well in your studies. It gives you a sense of teamwork. It teaches you the life skills of teamwork. It teaches you camaraderie. It teaches you, how to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I think those are really positive values. And I thought that, this has been such a positive influence in my life. Howard has a football team, Georgetown has a football team, I was like, this could be something that's really good for American University. And then, I also love football. I'm from Boston, I grew up with Tom Brady and the Patriots, So I just associate football with a lot of fun memories. I associate it as a very positive influence in my life, and I figured that it would be something that would only be beneficial for American University. Then you also look at, the types of people who will bring in. It's going to give us, I think, a more diverse student body. It's going to give us more of a sense of student culture on campus, because, right now at American, American has a very good academic, American encourage you to achieve academic excellence, but then you look at the campus culture, there's not that big thing that's really uniting us around a common goal. And, we saw it with the women's team making March Madness. Campus was really happy about that. They had the thing on the quad yesterday that gets everybody excited. And I think that, football's in the fall. You start the year off with football, tailgates, you have a very close-knit campus, and I think it would only help.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
All right. And the next thing we want you to go into is, what can the student body do to get involved and engaged in the effort for this?
Well, this Sunday, I do plan on introducing a referendum that would just say, this question would be, do you want a football team? And what this does, at the end of the day, the Senate shouldn't be deciding if we have a football team. Administration shouldn't be deciding if we have a football team. The student body should. So I would encourage everybody to vote in that referendum. I do think it's going to pass the Senate, and I do think CSI will approve it. And then the question was, what can students do to get engaged? Is it just in this or just in general?
You know what? I think in general would be a great thing to talk about.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
there are all sorts of ways for students to get involved on campus. And, not all of student involvement has to be centered around, AUSG specific stuff. Like, one of my friends on the call, Trevon, he founded his own club, his own organization, Brother, because, he saw something he wanted that wasn't there. And he created it. And then, he also made a mural that he did. So that's, getting involved. There are a lot of clubs you can join. You have class councils, school councils. And then also I'd say just reaching out to people. Like, tomorrow I'm meeting with a lot of people in my grade who reached out about the mask mandate. And they just said, hey, we want to hear you out. So I think reaching out to people in leadership will help. And I also think just going out to meet people. Like, if you have questions about AUSG or student government, every day, President Brody China, she's on the quad. You can walk up and ask her anything. She'll give you an answer. That's how I met her. I just walked up and asked her a question. So I think that there are a lot of ways that you can get involved, but I think it just all comes with reaching out to people and, doing stuff you enjoy, because American does offer a lot. They don't offer football, but they offer a lot.
That's certainly true. Thank you for the insight. The last thing we want to do is give you a chance to make any additional comments that you want to talk about this issue, or
I did see that Ryan had his hand raised earlier. I was wondering if he had a question for me that I could answer.
yeah, Ryan, do you have anything that you'd like to ask?
Yeah. So, hold on. There we go. Okay. So, I raised this question sort of in the Senate meeting, Miles, and maybe this is a good place for you to just address it further. Mm-hmm. Is sort of, the most common football injury is a concussion, and there are about 99,000 every year. And so sort of just talking about, if you can sort of address, concerns that some people might have, including myself, about, bringing something that is dangerous and causes those injuries to campus.
Yeah, so I'd say no one's gonna, if AU has a football team, no one's gonna force anyone to play football. Like, those are very real concerns. My parents, when I played, had the rule that, if you got a concussion, you have to stop playing. But I also think you got to remember, football is a choice. You choose to play football. If you're choosing to play football, you're choosing to, you're choosing to take the risk of head injuries. You're choosing to do all that. But I do think those concerns are very real. And also, what the bill did was it had an exploratory committee. So I think that's probably something that an exploratory committee could look at and, really say, if head injuries are the reason we don't get football, I can live with that because the committee would tell us. But right now, they're not telling us why we don't have football. And I do think that if every sport has a risk of injury, football is just in the news because, you had a lot of prominent football players come out with their injuries, but every sport has injuries. You risk yourself playing sports. So I think that, I do appreciate your concern, but no one would force you to play football. If they were on a future AU football team, they would know what the risk of head injuries are.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we conclude?
I would like to thank our hosts, Noah, AUnity, for doing this. You guys are doing a good job. Thanks for having me. Thanks to everybody for coming. If anybody wants to reach out and just talk about football in general, at any point in time, you can do that. I'll be receptive. And yeah, just thank you.
Then following that, I would also like to thank our excellent hosts, Grace, Mary Allen, and Abby G. Thank you guys again. And of course, thank you, Miles, for hosting this with us. We wanted to make this as short as possible. We do not want to, hold you guys for too long. We want to make sure that you get the information quickly. A recording of this and some highlights will be posted to AUnity, and Miles will be sent to you as well.
Thank you.
With that, I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. Be safe and take care.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'll see you.